guys, what's up? It's Joe Rady from Rady's Rides. I'm back here at Walker Ford in Clearwater, Florida, because guess what? We have the restyled pony car for you. What is it? It's this car right here. This is the 2024 all-new Mustang EcoBoost. But before we get into this value-packed pony car, let's talk about what's going on here. The Mustang. It's been around, like I've told you many times over, but if you haven't been paying attention, it's been around since 1964 and a half. What's fascinating is that we all associate the Mustang with V8 performance. And that's okay to do because there are some pretty darn good examples of the Mustang with some V8 performance. What a lot of times we forget is that even when it originally debuted at the World's Fair back in 1964, the Mustang had a smaller displacement engine. It had an inline six, a straight six. Now, that was there to help bring value, to help really bring that entryway into the Mustang family, but Ford is continuing that. Not only is the V8 available on the GT and the Dark Horse, but now we have a smaller displacement engine that actually packs turbocharged power. Now, if you're looking for a car that is sporty, that's fun to drive, there are some examples out there, and some of them are very underrated. For example, the Subaru BRZ, the GR86, even the Toyota Supra 2-liter turbo. But what I want to find out is, if you're looking for the best value, is the EcoBoost the way to go? So let's go ahead, let's dive into our pitch black Mustang EcoBoost and find out. Right off the bat, it's interesting how some of the changes for 2024 are really going to make this black Mustang that might be bland to some people really pop out, and I'm going to show you some of those features. Now, at the front of the business, you're going to get the redesigned style. So you can see we have the illuminated LED headlights. I love the way it's got the shiny chrome under each one. You got your LED daytime running lamps and turn signals. Working your way down, what's nice is when you go Mustang EcoBoost, the lower fascia is actually unique to it. Now, the problem is it's a zonk. Fake vents. I wish that they would have gave us some maybe fog lamps, or maybe made it smooth, or just painted it all body color, but the fake vent is not working for me. But this portion is unique to the EcoBoost. The GT has a different shape, and the Dark Horse has a totally different shape to it. Now, as we come across the front nose, we have that iconic badge. It's the Mustang pony that's been there since 1964 and a half. Now, what you'll notice is the pony is not chrome, it's not silver, it's actually bronze. This has the bronze package. It's an additional option, but this is the first touch of some exterior embellishes with some bronze finish. And I think that it's nice to have these personalized touches because it makes the black paint not so bland. And I'll show you some other examples, but you have the bronze package with that Mustang there. Flat black on the upper grille, down below, flat black as well. I like the way that they extend the lip out and make it color body matched instead of just making it all flat black. I think that would have been just too much flat black plastic at the front of the business. Just like the bigger brother, you do have active shutters, which are going to increase your efficiency. And then as you rise up, what you're going to notice is there's a lot more ways to personalize your Mustang with the S650 platform, which is what this one is called, compared to the S550, which is the previous generation. One of those differences are the stripes. Now, yes, you could get stripes on the previous gen, but we have all new designs, all new colors. So you have this metallic gunmetal racing stripe that goes from the hood onto the roof and on the trunk lid. One of the things I'm not too sure about is this area here. So the stripes actually cut around, and what they do is they have these flat black portions of the stripes. Let me know what you think about this overall design. It's like, I like it, but I'm not 100% sure. But I'm very curious what you think about it. Now, what's interesting is that they flare out. So they start skinny, and then as they travel, they actually flare out and then get skinny again up top. So it's interesting how they did that. When we come around the bend, here's the biggest thing that makes this black Mustang EcoBoost stand out. It's the bronze wheels. So because we have the bronze package, you're gonna get these bronze 19-inch wheels, Y-spoke design, really sets the color of the car. And I'm so glad, you know, silver's cool, black has been everywhere, but it's nice to see some bronze wheels come back on some different vehicles. And if you're wondering, well, Joe, what's the size of the tire and the wheel? It's a 19-inch wheel by 8.5, so 8.5 inches in diameter, 255 on the width, 40 series sidewall with the tires. Now, working our way down the side, color matched on the mirror cap. Steven's gonna show you how the stripes kind of change up on the roof, where the silver gets thin, and you'll notice the flat black gets a little thicker. From the side of the vehicle, it screams I'm a Mustang in a very good way. You have that same side skirt extension, the indentation on the body. The way they do the rear fender, it's growing on me. I know a lot of people, this looks like a Camaro, but guess what? With the Camaro dying, this is now the new muscle car to carry us in. And even though this has the smaller displacement engine, it still has plenty of power, much more power than what the V8s were making just a few years ago. We're not talking about going back to the 1960s. Just a few years ago, this EcoBoost is making more horsepower. Working our way towards the rear, you're gonna have your trunklet spoiler. Nice little kick up. You'll notice how they ended the stripes. I think it was smart to end them because this is gonna be complicated wrapping these stripes around the back portion. Let me know how you feel about this. I'm actually gonna have Steven kind of show the side of it here with my hand. It's got a concave design to it. I love the lights. I'm just not 100% sold on this middle section, but you'll notice that we have the bronze Mustang just like up front. And then down below, they went a little bit more on the flat black than they usually have, but this one has the optional Ford Performance Active exhaust. So you're gonna have your quad tips on this Mustang EcoBoost. And to be honest with you, to the untrained eye, the way to tell that this is a Mustang EcoBoost right away is because they have a Mustang on the back. If it was a GT, it would say GT. And if it was a Dark Horse, you would have the new Dark Horse badge. So there's a little fun fact. Before you freak out and you say, there's the new Mustang GT. No, this is the Mustang EcoBoost. Speaking of EcoBoost, let's go ahead, let's pop the hood and see what we're talking about. All right, guys, we got the hood popped. Even on the EcoBoost, you now have hood struts to hold open the hood. Underneath the hood is that 2.3 liter turbocharged engine. Very interesting location now, how they put the airbox. Normally the airbox is much closer to the front of the vehicle. Now they have it closer to the engine because this EcoBoost engine, compared to the previous gen, sits further back for weight distribution. That's why it's so far back and there's so much space. But what you're looking at is that 2.3 liter inline-4 turbocharged engine, now pumping out 315 horsepower. The only transmission available is the 10-speed. They got rid of the 6-speed manual. So to me, that's a zonk, especially for newer buyers that are trying to learn manual and don't want to do it on a high horsepower car like a Mustang GT or a Dark Horse. The great news is 0 to 60, 5.4 seconds. Top speed is governed to 145 miles per hour. The biggest difference between this and a Mustang GT, of course, is the weight. 3,588 pounds. A Mustang GT is almost 4,000 pounds. MPG's 21 in the city, 29 on the highway. And like I said, 315 horsepower, that's pretty substantial considering the first Mustang with the straight six had about 160 horsepower. So crazy to see where we have come from. And if you're saying, well, Joe, the Mustang never used a 4-cylinder turbocharged engine before these newer ones, you're wrong. In the Fox body generation, they had the Mustang SVO that had the 2.3 liter turbocharged engine. And I promise you, that car was not pumping out 315 horsepower. But why don't we go ahead, we got the performance exhaust, let's fire up this pony car and hear what kind of sound it makes. Hi guys, we are inside this 2024 Mustang EcoBoost. Now what's great with these cars is just like the exterior, there's so much different ways to actually personalize them on the interior as well. Now I know you're saying to yourself, well Joe, I've been looking at a Supra, I know they're not gonna last much longer. I don't want a GR86 or a BRZ, I already said that to myself. So it's between this and the Supra 2-liter turbo, how much is this Mustang EcoBoost? Well, the good news is the two cars are pretty much priced the same. This one, the way that it's optioned, is right around $44,300. Let's see how it stacks up to the Supra, to the door panels. I like how they updated the style, updated the materials, but you can still tell it's a Mustang door panel. The contrast stitching is really nice. The silver door handle to open it and the pull is a nice touch. And then the door pocket is a great size to where easily you could get a Chipotle burrito. And because you didn't buy a Mustang GT, you could spend money extra on guac because guac does cost extra. Now going from the door panel to the dash, love the way they kept that sort of dual cowl setup. I mean, it's like half a cowl because you have one for the passenger, but not one for the driver. But I do like the way it still says the Mustang name, the stitching. You come on in, and this is the new tech in here. You got two massive screens. I kind of wish that they were uninterrupted, and I do wish that this was a little bit lower. It doesn't have a ton of glare, but it just feels like it was an afterthought. That's just something that I know a lot of people are thinking about when they look at these screens. Let me know down in the comment section if you would zonk the screen. But you got the new Sync 4 system, full touchscreen capability. You can go through your different settings for navigation. You got your different screens you could bring up. We go into features. Check this out. This thing has 64 different colors, easily adjustable to all the interior lighting, primary and secondary, ambient and displays. It's like now you don't have to be jealous anymore of that kid when you were in elementary school that had the box of Crayola crayons with the sharpener in the back, 64 colors, because you got a Mustang that you could change all the colors all on the fly while you're driving. You got your auxiliary gauges, lots of nice additions, clustered themes, just like the bigger brother, the Mustang GT and the Dark Horse have. You could adjust that sound of the exhaust very easily from quiet to full race. My zonk is gonna be touchscreen controls for the AC, especially the blower, because you have to actually slide it. And if you just got done eating your burrito, you're probably gonna get guac all over the screen. It's gonna be just disgusting, especially after it smells when it's been cooking in the sun. Now working your way down, you do have easy access buttons, especially to shut off that pesky auto start stop. You got your start stop button to fire this thing up, your volume knob, and then down below we got wireless charging, USB-C, USB-A, a 12 volt, a place for two convenience store Slim Jims. Love the stitching. 10-speed automatic, only transmission available. 2 cup holders, electric e-brake, and then of course we have our Mustang key fob, remote start. Love the soft material with the stitching. Open it up, you got another 12 volt, and you could fit, I would say, about a baker's dozen worth of Twinkies. And if you don't know what a baker's dozen is, it's 13 Twinkies. And the seats, soft as a Twinkie. Just make sure you don't squirt your cream all over this interior. Love the stitching. Manual backs, and you do have power adjustments on these seats because guess what? They're heated and they're ventilated, and you have power for the bottom. We do have the rear seats. I've shown it to you in other Mustang reviews. It's the same thing. It's tight, it's uncomfortable. You're not gonna wanna put a grown adult or anybody that you really care about back there. But why don't you come over here, because this is where you're gonna be sitting. Let me show you behind the wheel of this Mustang EcoBoost. All right guys, one of the things still about the Mustang that when you compare it to say the Supra 2-liter turbo or the GR86 or BRZ, you're gonna blow them away with trunk space. Lift up the trunk, you have 14 cubic feet of space. The seats fold down just like before, which is great. You'll notice the subwoofer that we have with that B&O sound system, the optional sound system. And then the real test is there a spare? Ta-da! There is a spare, so you're good to go there. And that actually rhymed. I'm a poet and I didn't know it. I'm just gonna keep rolling with this. No, I gotta stop because I need to go on throttle. If you're ready, I'm ready. Let's fire up this EcoBoost, make it as loud as possible and go on throttle to see how it drives. All right, guys, business time behind the flat bottom steering wheel. You do have 3 memory seat settings for the driver's seat. Love the way you got the Mustang name. This illuminates at night with the LED lighting underneath the word Mustang. And then of course you have your pedal box, aluminum throttle, brake. The problem is I don't like the dead pedal. It's too small and it's not aluminum. So I am gonna zonk that. I do like the lower seat controls, especially that lower lumbar. That's gonna make you stay out of the chiropractic office. I'm 6 feet tall. You still got plenty of room in this Mustang. And look, I'm actually lowering the seat. Still got plenty of room in this Mustang. Much more room than a Supra 2-liter turbo. I promise you that. Steven would actually have to be down on one knee because remember on the Supra, the roof line on the side curves down. Here, it doesn't do that. Steering wheel, flat bottom. Love the perforated leather, the smooth leather. There's the new horn button. Flat black on all the switchgear. I like the way you could go through your modes with the silver buttons on the side. No paddles. So you're gonna have to bring your own paddle with you if you wanna go in your kayak or your canoe. Manual tilting and telescoping steering wheel, and then you have your dash. That full digital display. I'll go ahead and show you some of the modes here. Real briefly, you could go through, and I like the way the Mustang changes. Look at that. It's like freaking crazy. Track, drag strip, slippery when wet, and then of course custom mode, and then we're right back to normal. So nice to have that Gran Turismo effect in here with the graphics. But why don't we go ahead, let's get into the trunk because I want to go on throttle in this EcoBoost. All right, guys, we have left Walker Ford. We're in this 2024 Mustang EcoBoost. I have it in track mode. If you're ready, I'm ready. We're gonna go on throttle. On throttle, here we go. Nice. I tell you, what really makes this driving experience that much better than the previous gen is the work that they did to the 10-speed automatic. The shifts are quicker, they're more purposeful, and I like the way it holds on to the gear a lot longer that you're currently in, so that if you're on your favorite twisty road and you roll back into throttle, it's not gonna downshift. Because every time it does that, that upsets chassis balance. Now the interior is really where they knocked it out of the park with new materials, better materials. Seats are still great. I just wish there was a little bit more bolstering, but definitely when it comes to the interior, you're getting a lot of upgrades, especially the screens. Some people love them, some people hate them. I guess there's those two sides. What side are you on? Now, if you're comparing this to the 2-liter turbo Supra, visibility is much nicer. The exhaust sound is more real. So you're getting more realness out of the actual exhaust sound rather than stuff being pumped in. And of course, this is a Ford Mustang interior, whereas there are pieces of the Supra that are BMW because of BMW making them. So that's another thing to take into consideration. But the great news is that when it comes to the driving experience, I think you're gonna enjoy the changes that they made. Now, with the screen, the graphics are so clear. Having all the different ways to change the lighting, to change the auxiliary gauges, that's all great. The problem is for me, the screens are a little on the larger side. I wish they were a little bit smaller and kind of nestled in some type of housing, just like the previous generation digital instrumentation was. Getting to the screens are well within reach. I do like the way they're angled towards the driver. And the fact that they're still bringing the EcoBoost, trying to make it that value price car. If you're looking at a GR86 or a BRZ and you go premium, fully loaded, you're looking around $33,000. But a Super 2-liter turbo is spot on the money equal with this particular Mustang EcoBoost. I mean, you could get it cheaper without the nicer seats and whatnot. But the great news is all Mustangs come standard with the large infotainment and digital gauge cluster. All right, guys, pulling away from the light. The throttle sensitivity when you're in track obviously changes immensely from when you're in normal mode. And with the performance active exhaust, you're getting some pretty good amount of sound in here. Now, is it the sound that we associate with Mustangs? Of course, many people do not. But like I said, with the prices of cars, especially any kind of performance car, getting greater and greater, this may be that one way for you to enjoy the new pony car without breaking the bank. Now the good news is, when you're doing your normal daily commute, you're really gonna like the changes that they made to the chassis, the rigidity, the sound deadening material, because it allows you to hear more of the stuff you want and less of the stuff that you don't want, which would be wind noise and road noise. But visibility is great. They really reworked the steering very well. Now, it isn't perfect, but definitely an improvement over the previous generation. But when you go on throttle, I think you're gonna be quite impressed with how this EcoBoost performs. You ready? On throttle, here we go. Look at that. Nice. It's like and before, the gearbox would be chasing, and listen to the downshifts. Watch this. Slowing down. Slowing down. Got some pops and bangs out the back. And the fact that it blips the throttle, I really, really like that. Like, it just blipped it again. It helps keep the chassis so stable when you're driving. Another thing you're gonna notice compared to the V8 is there's less weight hanging off the front of the car. I mean, this car is like 500 pounds lighter than a Mustang GT. That's quite a bit of weight. Still heavier though than a Supra, that's for sure. But you do have more room, so it's one of those compromises that you have to make. But the way that it drives, that's where you see the major changes, and we're gonna see how this thing handles. Of course, we don't have high performance tires, but we're still gonna see how this handles. Let's go on throttle from a dead stop. Are you ready? Because I'm ready. On throttle, here we go. Gets the power to the ground. Nice. Smooth shifts on the brakes. Nice, look at this. Track it out. Apex, yeah! Really, really nicely done. It's gonna be interesting to see if they do a performance pack on this thing like they did before, the high performance pack. But even in this stock setting, it really, I think, performs better acceleration wise and almost handling wise. It could be a little bit less body roll, but this is, like I said, your gateway into the Mustang family. And I'm telling you, the downshifts are where it really is at. On throttle, here we go. Still puts a smile on your face when you kick that back out a little bit. Nice. Obviously, I would spend the 10 grand more and get the Mustang GT, but like I said, for those that are trying to get better fuel economy and, you know, not break the bank, you are getting a lot with the Mustang EcoBoost. Let me go ahead and slow down again, and we're gonna go on throttle. You ready? On throttle, here we go. Drops down. It knows what gear to be in, and we're off. Look at that. Much quicker steering off the front of the car, and that all comes down to that less weight. And it would be interesting because you could buy one of these, put a bigger intercooler, change the turbo, change the exhaust, really bump up the suspension, and this thing would be a killer on an autocross track, especially compared to a Mustang GT. And you could easily make way more power than a Mustang GT with this EcoBoost. It's really not that difficult. The only challenges would be to beef up the drivetrain, because once you start pushing 500 horsepower, 550, 600 horsepower, this drivetrain was not meant for that. So you'll start snapping half shafts, transmission problems, things like that. That's the only downside, is that you could easily make more horsepower than a Mustang GT, but you gotta beef up the rest of the drivetrain. But I'm hoping that this has been a good overall review of the Mustang EcoBoost. We're gonna get back to Walker Ford and wrap this up, so I'll see you in a Mustang minute. All right, guys, it's been another fun-filled day here at Walker Ford. Definitely want to thank Frank Walker, Weston Walker, Tracy, Mark, and the rest of the crew getting us access to this 2024 Mustang EcoBoost. Let me know what you think. When it comes to your hard-earned money, is this a better way to go over a Supra 2-liter turbo, or say something like a BRZ or a GR86? Let me know down in that comment section. But if you're new to the channel, you're on your way out, hit that subscribe button. I promise you it's worthwhile. Come back for more. If you are a subscriber, thank you for being part of the Ready's Rides family. Of course, we need to give it up to slick shifting Stephen Flood Photography. He loves rowing through a manual, so of course he's gonna go GR86 or BRZ, because the other vehicles I mentioned don't come with a manual transmission, even though I think he deep down inside wants an automatic transmission. But show him some love in the comment section. Thank you, Stephen, for all that you do. And just like always, guys, I'll see you on the next ride.